Teachers Off Duty. If you've never tuned in with us before, my name is Rebecca Rogers. I'm R. Rogers World on all social media platforms.
We moved our seating arrangement, so I was like, wait, is it me or is it Bree?
It's you.
I'm Lauren Woolley, Mrs. Woolley in 5th on all social media, and I'm Hot Mess Express.
Ooh.
You know, in general.
We've restarted this episode at least 3 times.
Bro, you ain't gotta tell the people
I
that.
literally still have tears in my eyes from laughing so hard.
I'm Bree, Honest Teacher Vibes on all social media platforms.
So actually, this really fits in with our theme that we want to talk about today is laughing at student stories.
Hey, some of them
You know I
stories
got a
ain't
bunch.
funny though.
Some of them are so bad that they become funny like years later.
Yes.
Years down the road
Sometimes
when
you
no one
gotta
affected is hurting anymore.
Laugh to keep from crying.
Who wants to go? You know I got a bunch, so who wants to go first?
Well, before we do that, I think we need to talk about today's
Yes!
sponsor.
Woo!
Our amazing partners, Bottle Learning. We are partnering with them for a few different videos. Honestly, they are
Awesome.
an amazing company.
Love them so much.
Bottle Learning is a gamified math platform for you to use with your students, or in general if you like to brush up on your math skills, because Bree and I have been doing that.
I gotta brush up on
the
the
daily.
math skills.
So what it is you can use it for free if you're a teacher or a parent, and it works with K through 6 standards, and you can use it for math intervention, you can use it for enrichment. It is great because it syncs directly to your Google Classroom if you're a teacher, and you can post different assignments and tasks for your students directly there. You can even attach parent emails so that they can get little notifications about their students' goals and what they're working on Bottle. So basically, you get to make this little character, and it's shaped like a little bottle. And
Bottle
he
head.
is adorable. And you get to compete in different math tasks and get a bunch of knowledge points to play games using your knowledge points. And then once you have played the games, you can earn different kinds of like furniture pieces and clothing items and all kinds of fun customizable things for your character. So make sure that you guys check out Bottle Learning. They are amazing and they are 100% free. And we all know we love free.
You know,
And I love Bottle Learning too, because I always have students that finish their assignments super fast. So Bottle
Gives them something
Learning
to
is
do.
like something that can hop on.
Oh, and subs.
Yes.
Like when you have that like half-hour meeting and you don't want to make like an activity to do for your substitute,
Hop on
have them
Bottle.
hop on Bottle Learning for 30 minutes.
And you know, if we're being completely honest, even though Bottle is from K6, COVID has messed up so many people, like so many kids going into high school, that it honestly probably would be helpful for 9th, maybe even 10th graders to really go back and figure out, relearn those basics that maybe they didn't master during online learning or that they struggled with during COVID, and that could really help them in the math classes that they're in right now.
Because I'm grown and it take me a little bit to get through them levels.
Right,
Okay. 'Cause
right.
y'all know I don't do public math. So
No.
Only
you
private
know,
math.
Only private
Only
math. Only private.
All right. So thank you to Bottle Learning for partnering with us, and go download that app or go on the website today. Let's get on with these stories.
I always
wants to go first?
Hold on. I always got to spell it because I know somebody going to be trying to type in BOTTLE.
That's
It's
true.
Bottle Learning, BODDLE. Carry on.
Okay.
wants to
So
go
time
first?
for some student stories.
I'll go first because I got a bunch. You know, I
Wait,
got a
bro,
bunch.
she asked first.
Okay.
You don't go.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first.
I'm just excited. Okay, do you want a story about a funny student or like a story about a student, but it wasn't the student that was funny?
Surprise us.
Surprise us? Okay, we'll start with the student. So, that reminds me of a story.
Do you want the story about the student or the story about the student? Okay,
Well,
we'll
like,
do the
what-
one about the student.
No. Okay, I'm ready. I'm
You
just
know I gotta
excited.
tease you, Bex.
You know I get so excited and I just...
I do like how excited you be when you get ready to tell the story.
That's why I'm
Baby, be
America's
so
storyteller.
excited.
I
Go
really
ahead.
need a t-shirt that says
We're
that.
gonna
But
get you one.
anyways.
We're gonna get you one.
So, this was my story. This happened to me. It took place during online learning, and my county only used Google Meets. And what I really liked about Google Meets is that I could put them in little groups, like little breakout rooms.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of explaining a project that I was having the kids work on together. And in the middle of me explaining this project, a kid unmuted himself and started moaning into the microphone. And everyone, like,
Bruh, they stay
for a
doing
split
something.
second, I just like froze. And then my kids, shout out to them, they were really like, no one acknowledged it. No one said anything. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to pretend like it didn't happen, and I'll address the kid in a second.
Just keep it moving.
Right? And so then, I finished the instructions. I put the kids in breakout rooms, and I said, hey, you all should be assigned a breakout room now. Go ahead and go to your rooms. And I put him in a group, but then took him out so that I could talk to him by himself. And all the kids are going to their rooms, and he unmutes again. He says, Miss Rogers, I don't seem to have been assigned to a breakout room. And I said, yeah, I know. That's because we got to chat.
Okay.
He goes, okay, about what? And I said, about the stunt you pulled literally 30 seconds ago.
Right.
Or maybe it was a minute or two ago. And he turned his camera on and looked so confused. And he's like, what are you talking
He's
about?
trying to gaslight us, boy. I know it was you.
All of a sudden, you hear someone in the background dying laughing. Apparently, this kid was having a play date, which, why? You're supposed to be having school. Why are you
Wait a
having
second.
friends over?
This kid was in high school having a play date.
Yeah. It's a play date. Is that not what it's called anymore?
No, not in high school.
Well, he had a friend over. He went to the bathroom, and his friend unmuted his mic and started moaning into the microphone as a prank to him.
I get
and
on my
then
nerves.
muted back and pretended like nothing happened.
Listen,
and
why
he
y'all
just
be
let
doing
his
such weird
kid-
things?
Right,
Quit
but
it.
what parent is I know you have school, but I'm just gonna let you play. And then what about that kid's school? Why was
Play.
he not in
Play.
class?
We're 15. Let's go play.
Is that not what you would call it?
Hang out.
Hang out?
I just think it's cute that you're they had a play date.
They're my babies. I know they're only 8 years
And I know
younger than me.
I know you say what parent, but a lot of parents,
Really?
yeah, I have tons of kids that come to school and they're like, oh yeah, I had a sleepover last night. I'm like, my mom would never.
My mom would never. Michelle could never.
No, my mom would never let me have a sleepover on a school night.
The one kid wasn't even in school. His mom was just okay. Oh yeah, you don't need school today. What? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy.
Well,
No,
we're
you're
teachers,
crazy.
so I mean,
Maybe I'm crazy.
we're a little biased in that regard.
Virtual
but, I
learning
mean,
was just a hot mess. So the
I
fact that he
liked
was
it.
even there, I don't want you moaning on camera, my dog. But if you in there, you there. So
just stay muted.
just mute yourself.
you
Mute your mic.
All right,
all
who's
the time.
next?
I guess I'll go next since everyone stared at me.
I don't know. I
about
got
to
a
fall
lot.
asleep.
I was just
So
like,
I'm-
who's next? Dagger eyes at
I'm
me.
sleepy. I'm sorry.
See,
I'm,
No,
I just don't
I-
want to hog the microphone because I get a lot.
Bruh, I'm not okay. Let me chill.
All
All right,
right.
Lauren, go ahead with your story.
Okay, so I teach 5th grade, right? So when they're in 5th grade, they're in that weird age where they're trying to be goofy and cool in class, but just end up sounding ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we were in the middle of learning about the solar system, and I was talking about just the order of the planets and what they how they orbit in relation to the sun. And I told them we had already been learning about the Earth and how if we don't take care of Earth, then we're not gonna have a planet to live on. And for whatever reason, they start going off on this tangent about the sun and how if we can't live on Earth anymore, where we're gonna live. And I told them, I said, well, what's the next planet that would be the most likely for us to live on if we weren't allowed to live on
Right.
Earth anymore? And they're like, oh, Mars. I'm like, yeah, good job. And then we got onto the sun and talking about how the sun is a star and it has a life cycle and how, the sun eventually will die. And they were like, okay, so when the sun explodes, will we just go underground and be able to
no.
wait it out? And I was like, no, that's not really how that works. See, if the sun explodes,
We do too.
we'll be unalive.
Yeah,
and
you gonna be not here.
yeah, and they were like, oh, okay. And then the conversation ended there and we kept going on and I'm talking about Neptune or something.
Yeah.
2 minutes later, I have the same student raise his hand. Mrs. Woolley, I have a question. And every time he raises his hand, that's
Right.
what he would say. And he goes, okay, so if the sun explodes, can we hop on a spaceship and fly off of Earth and go to Mars?
He is really thinking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Planning
Which
for
was
this.
not planned.
Absolutely planning for the sun apocalypse. So I was like, no, if the sun explodes, we're all gonna be burnt chicken nuggets. We gonna die.
Not burnt chicken nuggets.
We are going to die. Yeah, extra crispy. So he goes, oh, okay. Moving on, we're talking about like how Pluto's a dwarf planet, and we're getting to the end of the solar system. Mrs. Wally,
Oh no.
I have a
hand.
question.
Put your hand down.
Mrs.
like-
Wally.
Is it about the sun exploding? No. Oh, okay. What's your question? So can we build like a doomsday shelter under the earth? And
Yeah, he is like
I'm
for
like-
real.
no. Here's the best way I could explain this to you, hun. Sun, boom. Us, like we are dead.
The sound effects.
Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly.
Love the sound effects.
Sun go boom, we go, and that's it. Sun go
But
boom. we go-
sometimes the kids it's so funny when the kids think that we don't know what we're talking about with the
Right.
learning. Like, this reminds me of a story.
Oh my god. I don't know she was about to say
Bro, I
that.
need you to find a new intro, bro. I need you to find a new intro. You gotta say something else when you get ready to tell a story. You ain't even gotta preface it. Just go ahead and go on into the story, big
I
dog.
thought you liked it.
Nah, fam. Just go ahead, go into the story. Just
I'm
shoot,
upset.
just
I'm
shoot right
upset.
into it, best
I'm
friend.
so sad. I thought
Why?
you liked my intro.
No, we like the story. Just boop right into it. Just boom, bam.
You're leaving us in suspense.
The suspense.
So I was, world history, social studies, things
Right.
like that. We were finishing up our World War I unit, and so we had a review day before the test. And at the end of the review day, like we've already reviewed all the material, and I have one girl raise her hand. Like, okay, what's going on? So we've learned everything that we need to know about World War I. I said, yeah, that's why we just reviewed everything from this
Right,
unit for the
right.
test tomorrow. Well, what kind of a teacher are you? We didn't even learn about Hitler coming to power. And I looked at her and I was like, well, that's because he comes to power right before World War II, like in the next World War. And she looks at me and she goes, there are two? I said, yeah, like this is high school. Like,
Man,
you
they're
know the
about to be
World Wars.
three.
Bro,
Yeah.
you asking me, did we go over everything? You didn't even know it was 2 world wars.
I said,
Be quiet.
yes, there are two. And she thinks about it for a second and she goes, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. I'm positive. And she goes, I might have to Google it later. I said, you know what? You have
We
fun.
wouldn't
You go
even been
ahead.
able
You
to
go
finish no
ahead.
conversation because when she would have said, what kind of teacher are you?
I was gonna say, what kind of nerve?
You finna make haste about my classroom because you're not going to ask me.
Their attitudes. These
You
are like
don't
these are
even pay no
freshmen.
bills.
They're in the
Shut
middle
up
of
and sit down
puberty.
somewhere.
They've got the attitudes.
I'm
let
like,
me
do you
tell
pay bills? So you pay bills. Sit down. Take several seats, not even one seat.
But
That's my
I
favorite
couldn't even
thing.
get past
Take
the other
several
stuff.
seats.
What kind of teacher are you? I know what kind of student you finna be up out of here. That's what kind of student. I'm sassy though.
see, I have another story about a student that definitely could have gotten an attitude, but did not. It was the teacher. The teacher messed up. And this also happened. This happened right in front of me to one of my favorite colleagues ever. And
It happened to a student or to the teacher?
kind of everybody.
Okay.
Kind of everybody
Okay,
involved.
say no more.
As soon as he hears this, he's gonna like cringe in shame, but like it's funny now. So in hall duty, in high school, I don't know if like middle school
Yeah,
does
yeah,
it
we
during
gotta-
class changes,
we
you
gotta
wait in
be
the
out there
hall and
during
you
them
greet the
class
kids
changes.
and they
Right,
come
right,
in
right.
and blah blah blah, and the teacher was next to me. Amazing friend, like love him to death. Everyone thought it was really funny when we stood next to each other because I'm 5 foot and he's 6'6", and like just huge.
Y'all look like Shaq and The Rock.
Right,
I
like,
mean,
it was-
y'all look like Shaq and Kevin Hart.
Shaq and The Rock.
I'm so stupid though, because really what I was trying to say is The Rock and Kevin Hart, but I'm sleepy, so I really couldn't get it out.
And he has the driest sense of humor, just like amazing human being, love him to death. And he teaches the older kids. I have freshmen, but he teaches like the juniors, seniors.
Okay.
And so one of his students comes up to him and is like, Mr. Smith, I'm really having an emergency. I really need to go to my car. And he's, well, what's going on? She's like, I bled through my pants. And first of all, like I was really impressed that she felt comfortable saying that to
Right,
him.
right.
Like that tells me so much about like how high she regards him as a teacher. And I was really impressed with that. But he just looks down at her and he goes, no, I'm sorry, I can't let you go to your car.
Because what grade
And,
was she? What grade was she?
like junior or
Junior,
senior.
okay, so she
and
got
like
the car.
I kind of like then I kept, like really started listening and I looked over and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you go to your car. It's like a safety thing. Like you're gonna be late. I can't let you just be late to go to your car. Like I'm not gonna let you do
But
that.
she needs to
And
go
she
to her
right.
car.
And she goes, oh, okay. Like, and she like looks panicked and I kind of cut in and I'm like, no, I'll write you a pass.
She needs to go to her
I
car.
got it. I'll take care of it. Go ahead. And she goes, oh, thanks, Miss Rogers. And like she starts to walk away and he looks at me and he goes, did you really just do that? And I'm like, yeah, and I'd do it again. And he goes,
Right,
you
she
just
needs to-
undermined me in front of a student.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. And I do it
She
again.
needs to
What
go
is
to her
wrong
car.
with you? And he goes, Rogers, this could really start some problems for me. And he literally calls her like from down the hallway. He's like, nope, come back.
Oh, my gosh.
And I looked at him and I was like, what is wrong
Did
with
he
you
not
right
hear
now?
you or something?
He goes, why would you go and undermine me like that over pants for dance class? And I look at him and I was like, what are you talking about? Dance class? And he goes, that's what she needed it for, right? She said she needed another pair for dance class. And I said, Smith, she bled through her pants.
How
And
did
he goes,
he get dance class
"Oh!"
from bled through my
He
pants?
starts
Is he a
panicking.
man?
He goes, well, with these masks, and I'm so tall, I can't hear what these kids are
Oh,
saying.
no.
Everything's muffled. And he looked at her, he goes, go,
Please go. I would've
please
been
go.
mortified.
I'm
I was
so
gonna say he
sorry."
redeemed himself.
I
I was
was
about
like,
to be mad.
dying,
I was like, you better let that
laughing.
child go to her car and get her stuff.
He goes, I'm so sorry,
He didn't
Rogers.
hear
like,
because of the mask.
yes. He's like, the
Oh,
masks,
no.
and I'm so tall. He goes, I like tower over these kids. I never listen to them anyways when they speak, much less with these masks on.
Bro, not I don't listen to them when they speak anyway.
He goes, I'm so sorry. He goes, I'm so embarrassed. He goes, I was really
I would
mad
have
at
been
you.
embarrassed. Like,
He goes, I was really mad at you for a second, Rogers. I'm so sorry. I said, I was about to smack you in the face for a second.
you
I'm
gonna
not
smack
gonna
him in the
lie. I was
face?
so
you was
mad.
gonna have to jump up to smack him though if you saying
Guys,
the-
she need a
the
trampoline.
height, right? You got to get a step.
He walks into my room the next day before school and he's like cringing to
Still
himself. He
cringing
goes-
about it.
He goes, every like 30 seconds, I just
Man.
think about it and I go,
Mortified.
oh, and I go, I'm going to tell this story for the next 30
Mortified.
years.
Bless his heart. Oh my God, those masks really do muffle. I cannot hear kids in
I
those
felt
masks.
Yeah.
so bad for him. And like he pulled her aside. He goes, I'm so sorry. I definitely misheard
Yeah,
you.
'cause he
That was
didn't hear
my
her.
fault. I'm so sorry about that. And like commending
Yeah.
him for like
Right.
not only admitting like, so sorry, that was my bad, but like about a topic that especially male teachers usually get
Right.
really uncomfortable with.
Right.
Amazing human.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
Shout
But
out to
as I told
Mr.
you,
Smith.
I'm gonna
Yes.
retell this story for the next 30 years. So
He said he gonna sue you because you put his government name out there. And he
no,
didn't want nobody
that's not
to
his
know.
name.
my
I changed his name.
His name ain't Smith.
No,
Oh,
that's
look
the
at
name
you.
I always use.
Oh, okay. So you be telling this story. That's the name you always use.
Yeah, I
This
always
is
use the name
600th
Smith.
time I didn't tell this story. You know what? These stories that I'm telling this episode, they not my stories, but somebody sent me a story and said they were telling their parent like, hey, your son is really struggling in my class. Like he might need some extra help. And the parent was like, well, can't you get him one of those IUDs?
Oh no.
And the teacher was like, ma'am, what? She was like, one of those IUDs when they need like extra help. She was like, ma'am, a IEP?
no.
She was like, what's that? Not the IUD, ma'am. An IEP, individualized education plan. So it's not an IUD, ma'am.
No.
No.
Why is this
That's
episode kind of subtopics around women's health?
I don't know. But she thought an IEP was an IUD, and she was 100% serious.
I would have been like,
But you know what? In her defense, we got a lot of acronyms. As
that's
teachers.
very
Yes.
true.
It's a
Yes.
lot of acronyms.
That is very
like
true.
Too many acronyms.
And they're all different in every state. EOC, NCFE.
Yeah,
IEP.
seriously. Like I know in the
NCFE,
last
that
couple.
sounds like a wrestling federation. The NCFC, National. I don't even know what I was gonna try to make up something, but I
the
couldn't.
National
I couldn't.
See, something Foundation.
I couldn't.
You got
This next
another one,
story,
or
I'm
want
gonna
me
have
to
to
go?
read it though, because
That's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This lady said, I taught third grade at a private school, back at a title school now because those are my humans. Shout out to you, Title I schools. And a parent told me I needed to put her son's rubber bands back on his braces after he eats lunch. Absolutely
Ew,
not.
no.
That's nasty,
no, that's
fam.
gross. That's so gross.
I said, well, he can go to the nurse because I'm not going to do that. I'm not an orthodontist. She said, she proceeded to tell me, you'll do it because I pay your salary. No, ma'am, you did not pay me to
No,
go get my
ma'am.
certification as an orthodontist. First of all, it's nasty. Ain't nobody touching your child's teeth. Ugh.
That's gross.
Second of all, why he got to take them rubber bands off to eat?
That's
Third
a,
of all,
that's a biohazard also.
right. Third of all,
Yeah.
if he pop himself in his little gums with them rubber bands, then you're going to be trying to get attitude with me. Ain't nobody touching his teeth. And then fourth of all, why do y'all keep saying y'all taxes pay our salary? Baby, I pay taxes too, so does that mean I pay my own salary?
Self-employed.
Because I'm sick and tired. Let's just set the record straight. All these parents out here, you going to do what I say because I pay your salary. Baby, I pay taxes too. Okay? Whose salary, baby? And your little taxes, if they pay my salary, that's why my salary so small. Because some of y'all don't even pay y'all taxes. But that's another story for another day.
One of my students, so this student I have this year, he is like one of those students that like I loves to stand out and loves to be different. So he will find any way to make himself known to be.
Right.
So the kids that go to the after school program at my school stay in my classroom for like 15 minutes after
You do
school.
after school program?
I don't, but like other teachers do, and
Oh,
before they
right.
can
Okay.
get to the room, they ask that I keep them so that they're not getting into trouble.
Right.
So I do, and they hang out in my room. They play with the slime and stuff, or they'll like just sit at the table and talk. And this kid came in the one day, and he had like a toolbox, like a little toolbox. And I was like, "What you got in the toolbox? Like, why are you carrying a toolbox around?"
Right.
He had a bunch of those little plastic babies. Like tiny little
Why are the
plastic
kids
babies.
so
They're obsessed with those.
But they were like all different colors. Like there was a blue one, a purple one, like a brown one, a
Where you
tan
get them
one.
from?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Amazon? Maybe. I don't know. Where you get anything from? Amazon.
Amazon, y'all selling them little babies.
So he brings this toolbox over, and all the kids start going nuts. They're like, "Oh, I want one. Can I have one?" And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have this is the orphanage." The toolbox
Oh
was the
my
orphanage.
gosh.
He's like, "We're gonna have an auction." I'm like, "That's not how that works." I was like, "Okay, let me just set the record straight, children. When other children are brought into an orphanage, they
They're
don't get
not
auctioned
auctioned.
off." And they're like, I know, but these are just plastic kids. Like, I was like, it doesn't make it any better, but okay. So they're sitting at my table, and they were like auctioning off these little plastic babies. And then I don't even know how they determined, because they didn't pay him anything. So I don't know how he determined who got what one, but he was like handing out the little plastic babies, and they're like, he's like, "Now this one is my favorite one. It's the blue baby." And I don't give this one out all the time, but I'm going to allow it today. And I was like, and all the kids were like,
All alone. Oh my
Oh, the blue baby.
Bro, fifth graders are straight up crazy.
They are
They
weird.
run around with that toolbox of babies.
so they're sitting there like getting out these little plastic babies and playing with slime at the same time. And they grab the plastic babies and they stuck them in the slime, and they're like, "Bye, baby," and they push them down into the slime. I'm like, all right, all y'all gotta leave my
Man,
room
all y'all
because
sit down.
I'm gonna go
Put
have
that
some
up.
nightmares
Put
now.
that
Oh
up.
my
Why y'all
gosh.
got them? I'm gonna wake up with plastic babies out in the bed with me. It's gonna stress me out.
See,
Put
if
that
I
up.
was a parent,
Put that
like
up.
if I ever have children and my kid like comes up to me one day and is like, "For my birthday, I want a bag of plastic babies," I would be so concerned.
I hope your child don't.
very
That's some serial killer behavior. If your child walk up asking for plastic babies, you know.
Are they like the little king cake babies?
They're the
I
teeny
think
tiny
so.
ones.
Yeah, the
'Cause
little tiny ones.
I know everyone's like, "What are these?" And the only thing I know them from are like king cakes, because my half my family's from Louisiana,
Yeah.
New Orleans, and everyone's like, "Oh, kids play with them." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah,
Our
they
kids
do.
our kids just say and do like the weirdest things. Like Tristan came up to me the other day. Well, I don't teach no more, so this was like a month and a half ago. But they just like say stuff. And I had bought this like new perfume from Torrid that I thought smelled like really good. So Tristan walked up and was like, "Miss Richardson, you smell like a dog." And I was like,
Oh my gosh!
if you're trying to get cussed out today, just say that. Okay? Get
Save
away from me,
everyone
Tristan.
some time.
I was like, "Tristan, that is like so rude." He was like, "No, Miss Richardson, not like a dog that smell bad, like a dog that smell good." Bruh, tell her. Bruh, then why they always look to the other person to co-sign? Bruh, tell her I ain't mean she smell like no dog that stank. Bruh, tell her a dog that smell good. I was like, "Tristan, what a dog that smells good? You know, like when they come back from getting their hair cut."
Oh my god!
So I smell like dog perfume. Okay. Well, this perfume was $50, and I really like it, but it's in the trash now because it smells like
You're gonna
dog
smell like
shampoo.
Precious Paws puppy parlor.
Precious
See,
puppy
there are so many outfits, and I don't think kids realize that when they like make comments about like, "Oh, Miss Rogers, that dress makes you look like a goldfish." Well, I'm never wearing this again. Like,
They say
absolutely
stuff.
ever.
I think it was a comedian, John Mulaney. I love John Mulaney, and
he's so
he
funny.
he was making a comment about I don't know where he was, but he said like 8th graders will make fun of the thing that you don't like about you. And I'm like, that's so true. Kids
Right.
will say that, and like you take it to heart, and you're like, why am I listening to life advice and like how I look from a 10-year-old?
Don't
But
pay
they
no
find
bill.
they find the one thing that you're insecure
yeah.
about,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
like they milk that.
And then admin be like, "Don't check the kids, sir. He said something to me first."
Oh, last
Okay,
year,
so
okay.
it's fair game if he say something first.
Last year, it was no surprise. Like I literally told them I have extensions. Surprise, surprise. But like I went and got them over the weekend. I come back on Monday, and my kids last year, love them to death. They were my favorite group. But as soon as I got the extensions put in, they were like, "Oh, Mrs. Wool, you got a wig?" And I was like, "No, I didn't get a wig. This is my hair. Like, it's in my hair." And they're like, "Oh, okay, so you got a wig." And I'm like, "No."
Their kids
So, like,
have no shame.
I played it off as a joke at first. I was like, whatever, they're not going to keep... Every day that week, they were like, "I like your wig, Mrs. Woolley." And I'm like, okay, this needs to stop. I'm like, no, this wig costs a lot of money.
Okay,
so
kids will walk straight up to you. If I change my... Miss Richardson, that's a wig. Yes, it's a wig.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever unlocked a core memory in my brain. Okay, so for when I started at my new school.
Okay, hurry up, girl.
So-
They flashed us the time, friend.
Oh, thank you. Oh, dang it! I have so many things that I want to talk
No,
about.
we got 5 minutes. Go.
Okay,
He said that
two
5
things.
minutes ago.
So
We got 5 minutes more. Go.
When I started at my second school, you know, I don't need to impress these kids. Like, I don't care. I would go in with like I would go to school with no makeup on. Like, I did not care. And then I started kind of like learning how to make up a little bit, like very slightly, because it just like I thought it was fun. And so I got like these Anastasia eyeshadow palettes, and I thought that I would like play with them. And the first day that I go to school with like eyeshadow on, one of my kids just looks at me and goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I just playing with makeup." And she just looks at me up and down and she goes, "Oh, okay," and just giggles. And I was like, "Well, I'm never doing that again."
Listen, okay, people in my Instagram comments be doing that to me all the time. They're like so mean.
Haters.
Like they're like,
I just want to play with
Haters.
makeup.
I remember the one
Haters.
lady was like, "I can't believe you teach children with your winged eyeliner."
Because
I'm
it's
like,
so pointy, it's dangerous.
I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm sure I really influenced them with
I'm
my
like, girl, if
winged
you don't know how
eyeliner.
to put your makeup on, just say that then. You ain't got to hate on no teacher that go to school
I
looking
know,
good.
like they're so mean about it. And like my eyelashes, like I don't have eyelashes. My eyelashes fall out from anxiety. So like I have like a few, like I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
When I worked at my old school, like I had a patch in the middle of my eye where my eyelashes would fall out
Stress
because
will
I was,
make your
I was,
body do
I
some
was
crazy
stressed.
stuff, yeah.
So I wear fake eyelashes, and I
No
blatantly
shame.
say that.
No
No
shame.
shame, and I don't care. So it's come at me for my eyelashes.
And I hop up in the comments and say something to you, girl, because if y'all don't know how to do y'all makeup, just say that
I just
then.
want to learn. But before we head out, I want to ask you guys your opinion on something. Because I was tagged in a video between a student and a teacher at least 30 times. And I thought it would be interesting to like see what you guys think about it. Because Avery and I had that's my husband. Because Bree's always like, no one knows who that
I'm like,
is.
bro, tell them who Avery is.
But we had a really interesting conversation about it. So there was a video where this girl, and you might have seen it, this girl is helping another classmate, or at least she says she's helping another classmate.
Oh, okay,
And
I
the
haven't
teacher
seen
just
that.
walks over, puts her hand on the desk, towers over these girls, and just stares at them.
like trying to intimidate 'em.
Right. And the teacher or the student looks up at her and goes, "I was helping a friend. Like, what do you want?" kind of thing. And she goes, "I can tell that you're trying." The teacher says nothing. She just stares. And the kid says, "I know that you're trying to intimidate me, or I feel like you're trying to intimidate me, and it's not going to work. Can you please tell me with words what you're trying to communicate to me?" The teacher
When a
still
kid's
says
trying to be more
nothing.
adult than the adult.
Right. The kid was
Right.
communicating.
And the still says nothing. I think she ends up like
Somebody
pointing at the
recording
door.
this?
Yes.
But
it was
these teachers,
recorded.
was it like these teachers that don't know these
Yes.
kids be recording them?
And the kid again, like, is like, this isn't being productive. I would really like if you communicated
She
with
was
me.
really
Like,
doing a good
she's like,
job using her
please
words."
use your words, be productive. What do you want? And the teacher never said a word, was silent the entire time. This went on for like 2 or 3 minutes of just silence. And eventually the kid just walked out the door to where she was pointing. And
Oh, the teacher was pointing for her
the
to get
teacher
out
just kept pointing to the door.
the whole time?
After she said at least once or twice, "What do you want? Use your words."
Stuff like that
she
makes me
started
so mad
pointing.
because it's like, how are you supposed to be a role model of how to communicate properly and how to be a good citizen?
Right.
When you're gonna sit there and stare at a kid, expect them to read your mind and act intimidating towards them.
Just
Like,
tell them, like, hey,
why
get
are
out.
you doing that? Like,
I
stop
thought
it.
It was, and again, as someone who's taught
This was
high
you tagged
schoolers,
in this on TikTok?
I was tagged in this a lot
On TikTok?
Yes, and I'll show you after the episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But I know how hard it can be for those high schoolers to advocate for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, like, no matter what, I love how that girl used her words
Mm-hmm.
and advocated for herself when she was in a position where she was clearly very uncomfortable. You know, they're high schoolers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, when they're uncomfortable, they usually have big smiles on their face. It's just it's a nervous tick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I could just tell how uncomfortable she looked. And I thought that was really awesome that she could advocate for herself in that way. And, when I first saw this video, I was really frustrated because I was like, oh, look at this teacher. Like, she's an example of why we're not taken seriously. She's an example of, like, what's wrong with education and the system's so broken. And she gives us a bad name. And then Avery, as he always has to play devil's advocate, was like, well, just, like, think about you the day that you got your second vaccine, or like think about how many times do you think that teacher has asked over and over for the same direction, and like we don't know which situation it is or not, but we don't know if this is just a teacher that is so burnt out she doesn't care anymore. We don't know if this is because the other kids in the background are clearly instigating, right? Like they're egging everything on. They're like in the background.
Yeah,
like
I would be interested. I would be interested to really watch and see. It's really interesting. And then I, kind of stepped back and I thought, and again, no matter what, I'm proud of that student. And I thought that she did a really good job advocating for ourselves. But I thought that it was also a really good point of whether the teacher shouldn't be in a classroom and at all, like whether she's not a good teacher or whether she's so unsupported by admin or parents or school or whatever that she's just burnt out, that it should be a clear sign that our education system is so broken, right? Because she could be a great teacher that's just so frustrated
done,
with,
or
especially
she could be someone that doesn't need to be in a classroom, and we don't know.
She told that girl to sit down a trillion times.
Right.
I need to go watch the video because I really don't know. But as a teacher, ain't no teacher. We ain't just gonna if I don't say nothing to you and I just point to the door, that means I done asked you 50 times to do something and you being disrespectful. So if the kids in the back, I'm just speaking from experience. I ain't seen the video yet. But as a teacher, if I get to a point where I point at the door and I don't say nothing to you, that means I done asked you multiple times. And at this point, you defended yourself because you knew you was being disrespectful. So again, I need to go watch the video because again, I don't know what was said. I have not seen the video, but and
it's hard to comment on something when you don't know the full situation either.
Like
even if you do see the video, you don't see what happens before and after.
Because I don't want to demonize the kid or the teacher. Because I don't know the situation, but for sure, I'm just speaking from my experience. When I have asked the kid to do something multiple times, and then if I said sit down multiple times, they keep hopping up. It doesn't matter if you think you're in the right. I asked you to sit down. I haven't given you permission to stand up because my kids, middle schoolers, when they stand up without permission, they smacking somebody in the back of the head. They playing.
Right.
And her as the teacher, how I know you helping a friend? I ain't gave you permission to get up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I know it's going to be conversation surrounding whether kids should have permission to get up and all that in the comments from people who ain't teachers. But
I just thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. I'd be interested to see the video and see the context.
Because again, at first I was very this teacher, blah, blah, I was angry at her, and it was my husband that was like, well, and I think we don't realize how frustrated we get in the classroom sometimes. But
I be realizing really how frustrated I be. I realize I
I think, but
I understand what you're saying. Though,
we don't realize, but then the people who our loved ones who watch us are like, you get just as frustrated sometimes. And it was interesting. I don't know.
We're gonna go watch it and see what it's about.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you go and check out Bottle Learning, download the app, and check out their website today. And also check out our merch and follow us on all of the social medias, Teachers Off Duty Podcast. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye, best friends.
Love you guys. Bye.